name is Josh J1 Raiford, Vice President of Music Programming for Pandora, and welcome to another conversation about Black music and leadership in politics and entertainment. And I'm very excited about our guest. She is a freshman member of Congress representing the 37th Congressional District, which covers a very diverse area in Los Angeles, California. She serves on the Foreign Affairs Committee as well as the Natural Resources Committee, a graduate of USC and a member of the Divine Nine. Shout out to Zeta Phi Beta, Congresswoman Sydney Kamlager-Dove. How are you, Congresswoman?
I'm doing great. It's always exciting for me when I am in my district. Being in Washington, D.C. can curl my hair in bad ways. So excited to be back home.
I definitely understand that. Nothing like that California, LA weather. We'll get right into it. Tell me about the first Black artist you heard. Do you remember that day, the song, the album, and what just stands out to you and why?
So I don't remember all of those things, but I will tell you, I was really young. We lived in Brooklyn at the time. So shout out to hip hop for Brooklyn and Fort Greene. My mother worked at the Studio Museum in Harlem, and she was curating a number of artists to come and complement the exhibitions that were on the wall. And so she brought me to the museum after school one day and said, I need you to hear this artist. He's an amazing pianist. And I did. His name is Cecil Taylor. And this avant-garde, very strange music was coming out of this piano. And then later, my mother said, you know, they'd have to throw out the pianos after he played them because he just destroyed them so much with his music. Now, I have to tell you, I hated it, but I've also never forgotten it. And for me, it's a great example of ways in which music can touch you. Sometimes you can love something. Sometimes you can not understand it at all, and it make you feel really uncomfortable. And that's what Cecil Taylor did for me, but I've never forgotten it. And it's also helped to expose me to other forms of music that I wouldn't normally be interested in.
That is an amazing story, Congresswoman. And it kind of leads me into my next question. You know, the music of Black artists has never been more popular across genres, cultures, and just geographic lines. Black artists are routinely at the top of the charts. Why do you think that is?
Boy, I think it's because Black music at the end of the day is about hope. If you look at the history and the lineage of Black music, from slave songs to church music to hip hop to soul, at the end of the day, there's resiliency in the music, of course, but there's always hope. And when you are, you know, a person in your community, at your school, in your job, civically engaged, you're struggling and you're feeling like the world maybe doesn't see you and is out to get you. And nothing quite settles you. Nothing quite reassures you. Nothing quite pumps you up like Black music. And I think that's why all cultures from all over the world will give you a Black artist at the top of their song list, because what they're really telling you is, I'm not going to give up hope.
I couldn't agree with you more. There's just so much history and feeling and a spirituality about our music. So well said, Congresswoman. You know, June was Black Music Month. Why is Black Music Month important to you? And talk about a little about the larger cultural relevance of it.
Well, I love February because it is Black History Month. And then, of course, I love March because it's Women's History Month. And then I love June because it's Black Music Month. And it allows us to really celebrate the journey that is Black music. You know, it's a great opportunity to kind of dig up artists like Mahalia Jackson, like Ripperton, like Nina Simone, to really celebrate, you know, artists like Nas, to really think about the people who have been or are at the forefront of music genres. You know, back in the day, it might have been India Arie or Jill Scott, you know, and now it's folks like Georgia Smith. It's also a great opportunity to kind of think about the intersectionality of Black music. You know, now with Afro beats, or like tapping into Cuban music, South American music, the relationship that Black music has to or Asian countries. So I love Black Music Month because it allows us to talk about the entire world and its relationship to Black music.
Yeah, I love Black Music Month as well. It's one of my favorite months, on top of course, Black History Month. And, thanks to the great work that you and the other members of of Congress have done, Hip Hop History Month, which is now in November. And this year actually marks the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Do you have any hip hop specific memories you'd like to share as we commemorate this awesome year, especially coming from LA? I mean, there's so much history in your city, in your district, when it comes to hip hop music.
So I have some memories, and then I have a surprise that I'm going to drop right here just for you. So I represent the 37th. Hip hop, has a foothold here, right? If it's Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, he opened up, his name is now on the wall at USC, and he's been very instrumental in supporting music in the schools, and, Tupac. But I was born in Chicago, which of course is house music. And then I lived in Fort Greene in Brooklyn for about 10 years. So, I also am thinking about Biggie Smalls and Puff and Heavy D and Roxanne. I sort of grew up listening to, right, Big Daddy Kane and Kool Moe Dee. So I have conflict between New York and LA when it comes to hip hop, but I celebrate them all. But walking down the street in the 80s, wishing you could afford your, shearling parka with your Adidas and your Kango hat. I went from Menudo to Roxanne. I want to be your man. So those are my memories. I'm waiting to get on the A train to go up to Harlem. So as a result, my surprise, which only you are going to hear now, is that later on this month, I'm going to be introducing a hip hop resolution commemorating the 50th anniversary of hip hop in the United States Congress, because we have an obligation to talk about the importance of this movement and what it has done to educate, elevate, and inspire, generations of young Black folks, but also folks across the world.
That is amazing. Salute to you, Congresswoman. I mean, one, for representing so many coasts. I mean, you got the Midwest, West Coast, and the East Coast. So I know your hip hop palette is full, but also to, commemorate hip hop in such a way. And it just shows the big shift between hip hop and politics. Because, I mean, we both remember maybe about 30 or 40 years ago, members of Congress were talking about banning hip hop. But now, right, we're honoring it. So salute to you and the other members. This is probably going to be the hardest question I ask of this whole conversation. What are you listening to right now? We are going to create a playlist with some recommendations from these interviews and show off some of your good recommendations so we can show out to the other members of Congress.
All right. So I'm going to give you some songs that I'm listening to. And this is a challenge for my other colleagues in the Black Caucus that, I want everybody to level up with their playlists. So I have Fate on my playlist by Her, which I love. Blue Light by Georgia Smith. All Things by Burna Boy, but Bank on It by Burna Boy. Clear Water, oh my God, by Michelle and Dago and Cello. I love that. Instrumental, but mostly instrumental, but Roddy Ricch, for all those trap star folks out there. His Aston Martin truck I have on my playlist right now. And then an oldie but a goodie, Mona Lisa by Lil Wayne. And just so that folks don't think I'm super crazy, I've also got Forgive Me, Chloe by Halle.
I don't know, Congresswoman. I think that's going to be hard to top. I think you might have the top playlist right now. I'm just saying, I'm not being biased, but I would definitely ride out to it. Congresswoman, again, I appreciate your time. I've enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your musical journey and honoring hip hop. Keep up the great work, and I hope to see you at CBC Week.
Thank you so much. And I just want to give a shout out to Keke Palmer for representing all the new mothers who like to, level up, be sexy, and celebrate Black music.
Shout out to Kiki. Thank you again.
Thanks.